Think joined the Townsend Housing Authority. Could I have a roll call of officers, please?
Courtney Briley here.
Jack Moran here.
Natalie Call here, and Chaz is excused, absence. And the meeting is being recorded. Can I do the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to all our veterans here and far away and their families for supporting them. Any additions or deletions in an agenda unforeseen within the 48 hours of the meeting? Do you have any?
I don't think it's on here, but I would really like to be able to have a discussion about us getting oriented to the procedures for getting under contract with HUD and the procedures for how the housing authority would need to manage, whether it's vouchers or contracts.
Okay. We could look into that and see where we can get the information for that. Alrighty, that's a good idea. 2.1, sorry. The goals and tracking. No, Courtney. Jack?
Yeah, I haven't updated it from last week yet, so I think you guys are all here for that, but we can kind of just run through, because I know we want to talk a little bit about this property, which I know is related to some of these goals as well. So if we want to go through that stuff, and then I think there's a couple of things that we may want to follow up with Chaz about at some point.
Okay.
But Jack, if you want to talk about the Coppersmith property at all?
I'm sorry, talking about what?
The Coppersmith
Oh,
property?
yeah. So the Coppersmith property, contacted CHAPA. So CHAPA is the organization that is responsible for administering the 40B listings. So if a town has 40B property, they maintain the inventory record. And you know, if the property is under a deed restriction, as this was, they establish what the clock is for when the property is in a condition where it's going to market, how much time is on that to be marketed under the affordability restriction, which is 120 days by default plus 60 days on an extension. So when I contacted them by email, what they confirmed is that I believe it was January 3rd is when it was officially listed. And then 120 days, when I asked about the extension, the response I got was they were very confident that it would not last that long and that we would not need to ask for an extension based on the way that they saw the demand from the
So they think they'd be able to find a buyer.
the folks that are being marketed to, right? Right. So I actually also went to the open house, which was that Saturday, just to stop in out of curiosity, not any official business really, but being nosy. But while I was there, probably not more than 10 minutes, there were at least three potential buyers that had stepped through and visited the realtor.
That is really,
And
that's
the realtor had a
promising.
listing with the folks that had signed in with at least probably half a dozen, and that was probably half an hour into the open house. So it did seem like it was getting a lot of attention.
Right.
That many people, I would think, so, especially the price and the location.
Yeah, but you gotta qualify for it still, right?
Yeah.
So that's the,
But yeah, that's promising anyways.
yeah.
It really is.
I was somewhat interested that it's just listed with Lamakia, you know, but the way that they do it is they actually leave a copy of the 40B paperwork on the table along with the listing material, and this outlines sort of what the income restrictions are
Yeah.
and the timeline and for the lottery and all the details of that program. Other than that, it just looked like a standard real estate open house, you know what I mean?
I might forward it over to Lori just so that I'm sure she's aware of it, but we'll get her,
Yeah.
you know, just so that if she has anybody in mind too,
Yeah.
since she's a local realtor.
Well, I think I should be able to find your email.
I think I have it. If you want, I can send
Sure.
it. And that way we can just get it out on another
Absolutely.
place too. So I think the other things that were on here was, Allison, I think you had sent out the list of, the properties that we do have. I think you sent that was this week, right? You sent out it.
I did send
To-
that out.
Yes, I
sent
remember
that-
seeing it.
I sent that out in advance of the joint meeting
Yeah.
last week, so,
Yeah.
We have
I-
that.
Yes, I know they
That was
were
pretty
looking for it
interesting.
last week, so I saw that come out.
Thank you.
And then I think, like I said, I think we'll need to follow up a little bit with Chaz on the Warren Road property, just to see if he had any progress about kind of how what's going on with that before we talk to Habitat about that one. And that was the other big one that I had on this list from last time. And then I think the other piece of it kind of goes to Jack, your kind of additional agenda item, which I think is the biggest one, is starting to think about how we're gonna manage properties. Shipping properties.
Yeah. Ready to dive into that? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, the territory around this is not entirely unfamiliar to me. I work in the COC universe, which is another division of HUD, for my day job. So they actually interact with HUD field agents. And so a HUD field agent, we have a regional HUD agent that would be someone to talk to and would have the authority to enter into a contract with a housing authority. So just from the research I was able to do, what seems to be a particular key in a housing authority relationship with HUD is entering into what they're calling the annual contributions contract. This basically governs the way that your housing authority is doing business with HUD. So just to give you some idea, like there are some housing authorities that don't have any property at all. All they do is they get an allotment of vouchers, maybe, right? So let's say you get 12 vouchers, your task or responsibility as a housing authority would be to come up with a tenant placement plan for who is going to qualify for those 12 vouchers. It has to be applied consistently, it has to be written. And the process will involve the client needs to identify a landlord that has no relationship with HUD or with us, but they identify a landlord with an apartment. But we would be responsible for figuring out how to have an official HUD inspection completed of any unit that a client selects to make sure it's up to the HUD standards, right? So just some thoughts around that, like we're not the only housing authority in the area, probably, I don't know, AIR or Shirley probably is doing this every day. We could probably talk to someone and find out, or these NARO people have, groups of housing
Yes.
authorities to get together. I'm sure it could be figured out. Wouldn't necessarily be like one of us going and inspecting units,
Right.
Yeah.
but it would be a task that you would then become responsible for doing as a going concern, a responsibility that housing authority is then we're responsible for going forward.
So in the case when we do end up with a possible property that we are managing, is that
Mhm.
similar? Like instead of being assigned a voucher, we're now have units that we're trying to place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, well, this is interesting because there are housing authorities that actually own property,
Yeah, we're
but
hoping to get there,
Mhm.
right?
I
So-
don't think that, and this might be a real good question that Chaz would be probably the best person to
Yeah.
answer, but I think the idea is that the Affordable Housing Trust is gonna be the owner.
So that's,
So
so,
they're essentially gonna be like the landlord.
Yeah,
And-
I don't know the way that will be structured, I have to say, but I know
Yeah.
that we would be responsible for managing the properties, not them, in the way that it is set up,
Oh, right.
in my understanding. Yes,
So
yeah,
that is us taking more responsibility than just doing a voucher.
I believe so.
I guess part of what
Yeah.
I was driving at, just trying to sketch out the broad
Mhm.
brushstrokes of an annual contributions contract with
Yeah.
HUD, is the terms of what it is you're taking responsibility for
Mhm.
have to be spelled out there in pretty clear detail. So there are some housing authorities that do not manage property at all.
Yeah,
They just do the voucher piece.
yeah,
And there are some housing authorities that actually own property.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure, like you're saying, that there are some that are somewhere in the middle, but all of it has to be like articulated within this contract so that it's written in a way that's clear
Mhm.
to all the parties involved exactly what it is that's being done. But I think the task of undertaking one of these is not a trivial task. And so
Yeah.
this is a place I think we probably need to find some help from someone that's really,
Mhm.
walked this road ahead of us. And if it's something we're seriously considering entering into a contract with HUD to do, we really, I think, we're at a point we probably should get going with finding that help and figuring out who we can talk to.
Sorry, Natalie.
No, go ahead, no.
I'm kind of wondering, if HUD has maybe technical assistance
Mhm.
grants
Yeah.
that would be of
Yeah.
benefit.
Okay.
I have been focused more on state grants, and One Stop's just about to come up, but as my time allows, I'll start to see what HUD has too.
Mhm. So when it says annual contributions contract, it sounds much more like something we are contributing to rather than they're contributing to us. I guess I'm not totally clear on the terminology of it and exactly what that
Yeah.
means.
Well, so I believe what they're probably, what the title probably suggests is like annually, they're going to be providing the funding
Okay,
to support, like, let's say we had a dozen
yeah,
housing choice vouchers that we're going to assume responsibility for administering. They would provide us with a funding allocation that supports that.
okay.
And then we now have a
Some
budget,
pool of money to.
a pool of
be-
money, and we got to come up with the budgeting process.
Yeah.
We have another piece of it is the contract that a client enters into with the landlord is just the lease.
Yeah,
But we then also enter into a contract with the landlord called a housing assistance payment contract,
Mm.
where this is the way that the funds
are going to
actually
get to that.
get coordinated to be delivered to the landlord.
Mhm.
But the money doesn't go to the client
Yeah,
directly, it just in
it
terms
goes
of,
directly to the
the
landlord.
passing it from one
Yeah,
to the other. It goes to the landlord directly from us.
Mhm.
So that's a housing assistance payment, I believe is the name of that contract. So we would have a collection of 12 of those that would be supported by the annual contributions contract, which also includes a little bit of money for like the administrative part of the work of
Yeah.
us, like finding an inspector and doing the budgeting and making
Yeah.
sure that, the housing assistance payments are getting to the landlords properly and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think my like just general question would be like, is this the right thing for us in terms of the way we've talked about that's, housing trust developing the property and then us managing the property? Is this the right like piece of it or,
Yeah.
to assist that?
Okay.
I know we don't know that right now.
Yeah,
Just
well, yeah, I think
saying that, right?
unpacking this is kind
Yeah.
of like, I think the place that we're at and
Yeah.
just,
Definitely.
we probably need some help to
Yeah.
properly unpack it and understand it. and-
Yeah.
So where do we go
Detail.
with that? Now, who we go? HUD?
I don't think that was a bad
I mean,
resource,
why?
possibly, but, like Allison said,
Yeah.
HUD directly, probably all the above, I would say.
All of the above. I don't know. I remember, Courtney, you were working with, I think it was Fran and Groton. Would there be
Yeah.
any benefit to
Yeah.
inviting her to a meeting
Why
and
not?
picking her brain to see what she could
Yeah,
offer?
what's interesting though about them, and I'd have to ask again and clarify, is that they sound like they were not doing the model that we were talking about.
Okay.
So that's my only like hesitation. We could ask her about it, see, there's no hurt in asking. But the way she talked about, their more successful projects have been ones that they don't have that stake in it the way that we're talking about right now. So what she had said was what they did was they kind of set a project up to basically get some amount of tax credits and then assign that project to developer, and that developer ends up essentially, I don't know whether they're getting a management company of their own, but Groton themselves were not managing those properties later. And that was the way that they were able to actually build that housing. What they said was what they found was they just didn't have the same level of interest from developers of the projects they wanted to manage themselves. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not managing any. I'm just saying in recent years, that's what she had said that was more successful for them, was to not be that manager. So it's kind of a little bit of we can certainly ask, and she said she's willing to come in here and talk to us, but was hoping for some specific topics, so.
Can I ask you, when you say managing the property, like, you actually mean like we would hire someone that is an employee of
So somebody's
our
got
organization to mow the lawn and
well, that's the thing, right? We have to,
fix a broken window?
that's the question,
that
I
stuff,
think,
or-
like, do we end up hiring a property management company that does that? And then we're doing the parts and pieces to put people in that? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Because we're not, the housing authority, we're not setting out to own the property, right?
So that's
the
like-
Affordable Housing Trust that would own it.
so this is where I think we need the clarification, because
Yeah.
either way, it's staying in the town. We are
Sure,
not trying to
yeah.
give that piece of property to a developer,
It's
to
want to
someone
be sure we
else.
have control,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, that we have control, therefore,
completely on board. with
and
that.
all the trust is doing is getting that project constructed, and then we have to take it from there in terms of, I think, everything, like you're talking about, who's mowing lawns, who's fixing things, who's putting tenants in spaces, who's
Right.
doing all
Yeah.
that.
Kind of what I'm hearing, and please correct me, is the trust will develop the property and then it kind of comes over to the authority
Exactly.
for management.
That's my
Regardless of whether
understanding
they own it or we own it,
Exactly.
Right.
this group
That's,
has to manage it.
yes, we have to manage it, yeah.
How about if we hired a property management firm?
Well, I think we can do
that
that.
we have full control over and can fire if we don't like the way they're doing things.
I do believe that we could do that,
Yeah.
and that is likely, I think, for things like you're saying, snow plowing, mowing lawns, like that's probably what we're gonna have to do,
Sure.
right? Like, why would we
Right.
physically want to have,
Or maybe even
You
like,
know.
noisy tenants or,
yeah, and I mean, there's a possibility where we could hire hire a management agency that handles even day-to-day tenant stuff, like you're saying, noisy, all that kind of stuff, because a volunteer committee is not going to have the capacity to do that,
I
right?
can't
So,
stop what I'm doing on
I
Thursday
can't either.
afternoon and leave work to go
Exactly,
deal with a
exactly.
upset
So it
tenant.
could be that we are hiring something like that
Yeah.
to do that. And I think that's what we need to figure out. And it seems to me like that makes a lot of sense, but how much of that goes through them and what stays with us, right?
Right.
In that,
Mhm. Well,
I think is the,
I get the impression that there's a strong desire to be able to maintain the ultimate control,
yeah,
to be able to say to the property whoever's doing the property management, if they're not doing it in a way that's consistent with
what we expect.
our wishes or the
Yeah.
interests of the town or whatever, that we could say, yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to find another property manager.
Yes, yeah, and part of, I think, us keeping some amount of control is that we can make sure it stays on the inventory too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we have, like, I think there's a bunch of condos or apartments or something that like has a year limit on our inventory now. That like after so
Yeah.
many
Yeah,
years,
one of
they're
these
gonna
was
turn
right
over.
here.
So-
And I was actually, I think it's Atwood Acres.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
So,
it's due in 2029.
right, so
affordability
there's stuff
expires,
like
which is only
that
5
we
years out.
don't want that to happen, right? Which is part of why we've talked a lot
And
about keeping
what's,
it.
it says subsidizing agency is HUD, so I'm very interested in like what that arrangement is, because
But we're not like the property manager on that one either.
I know,
right? So
yeah.
like, it's hard, yeah,
it's reasonable for me to conclude that this is like the case study of the thing you don't want to see happen again.
It's that, and I think part of it is that, and part of it, like, is the year it turns over, and
Yeah.
part of it is we can't even, like, my understanding is we can't even put up like a thing on a bulletin board in there that says like, hey, we really need a tenant member for this board. They want, like, we can't even do that. We can't do, literally, we can't even like
Has
touch.
somebody tried and like?
Yeah, I believe it's,
They were
yeah,
told to
there's,
go away or something?
yeah, like it's,
That's crazy.
there's a real, like, I think, animosity around what has happened with that property. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm hearing there's like lots of discussion needed on how,
It's
guys
management,
wanna-
yes, I think that's like a topic that should be
meeting
on
in
like
and
every
of itself.
agenda though. It's
Okay.
like, how do we
Yeah.
manage properties and just keep talking about it and keep finding resources like this, I think is great, right? Because like,
Yeah.
we need to find a path on what's right for us. And I do think talking to other local town agencies, to hear how they are managing their properties is good too.
You, I think, had actually sent an email with some of the NARO, looks like they have like a training series.
I did.
And
Yes.
I was looking for something that would cover this material. I didn't see anything directly, but it looks like they have kind of like a board member 101 series, but it seems to me like, I don't know, I have a hard time believing that they don't have something that sort of fits the bill.
Right.
Given what they do, they're like a, association of housing authorities, basically. So
So I
they've
did
certainly got
actually,
to have had other housing authorities come along like us that are interested in just learning more about how to go about doing this. Impossible for me to believe that they
That they
didn't,
haven't had,
have experience. So
I did
I
sign
can
up
poke around a little
for,
more if you,
I signed up for a webinar at the end of this month. It's like almost a day-long thing, but it's like housing basics at like the
Yeah,
state
yeah.
level. So
Yeah.
it'll fill me in a little bit more there, but that'll help me too, because I get like questions from people about like, hey, I have these vouchers, what can I do with them? And I know
Yeah.
right now we don't have anything in Townsend, but
Yeah.
it would help me to even be able to like
give
direct them where
go
they
here.
can go
Right.
a
Yeah.
little bit better. But I think it'll start to play off some of the things you guys were talking about too.
Okay, what's next?
and since we're talking about vouchers, can I
Yeah.
to throw in one more
Yeah.
little
Go ahead.
morsel of information on something I did notice, and I'm looking your way, Natalie, in particular, because what I just described is the housing choice voucher, which is a low-income housing voucher, the Section 8 program for folks that's not a public housing complex.
Right.
There's another voucher that is also administered by housing authorities called the VASH voucher,
Oh, yeah. I've
which
heard that.
is which is supportive housing for veteran families.
I've
And
heard that.
um,
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
I don't know for
Recently.
sure
I'll have to look
that
at
there's a pool of them that we can apply for, but
Yeah, I'll have to do some research.
the arrangement is basically that the housing authorities have the responsibility for being the administrating body that administers VASH vouchers when they're available.
That's another piece
So I
we need
know-
to find out
I know
about.
Worcester Housing Authority has a ton of them. We have veterans sitting down there, and
Oh, I
they've
know.
been.
Yeah, we went
the
and
VA.
looked at Soldier Arm a
Funds
few
it.
years ago.
Yeah.
I know there is. I'll have to bring it up. I'll have to look at it and see. I know they have it. But I just gotta find out how, like I said, the pieces go together with what we're doing now. I'll get the homework for next month.
And then
Next meeting.
there was a third kind that was
So,
during the COVID emergency, the American Rescue Plan. They have one called the Emergency Housing Voucher for homeless folks. That those are pretty much all used up at this point. The ARPA money is all spent, but that was also administered by housing authorities.
I will check on that.
But the VASH one, I thought you might find
Yeah, I'll do some
particularly
homework
interesting.
on it.
It's
Definitely.
it's
We got a
pretty
lot of
valuable.
veterans live in the housing over there now, senior housing, right? Well, not senior housing, over in Dudley. I'll check into it now.
Yeah, they don't have to be seniors. I think
No,
they,
they can be,
I think it's oriented to veteran families.
yes. Okay, I'll do some homework on that. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the whole voucher system to me is
Yeah.
something I'm very unfamiliar with. So if anybody has a 101 on that part,
Well,
Does Narrow
that
have
would be
one?
good for me.
yeah.
Does Narrow have
Quite
one?
honest, part of the thing that frustrates me about HUD is they do a terrible job of editing the old material out. So if you go searching for material with HUD, you find these links from like
A lot of stuff
1997.
that aren't
Like
actually
you find the McKinney-Vento Act sort of spelled out in detail, the congressional you don't find like the document you're looking for. But
Mhm.
yeah, the 101 document on how does a housing authority go about setting itself up
That's what and
is like, I
and
would
how do
love
we
to
do
see a
these?
really good,
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
good, a good one.
Okay, all right. So, I know it is, I can find out. For the word used.
I did find this. I'm happy to make a copy and share with you guys if you want.
What's that one?
It's kind of a
Oh, that's
a high level,
contract.
really very high level, just sort of explaining the responsibility of public housing agency, the ACC.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay. Are we at 2.3? Any correspondence? No, it's not.
I think there's a lot of things on this list.
Yes.
These are mostly informational. Zoning board just wanted this information shared out with the board, so I had included the links. Most of them are really just about special permitting for accessory apartments.
that's
The one
great,
at
though.
168 Lunenburg was approved. They were just kind of sharing it for informational purposes.
And that one, 168 Lunenburg was that one was a
Accessory
accessory?
apartment.
It was,
Yeah.
okay.
And the other three are pending.
Accessory apartments. Oh,
Yes, all of them.
wow,
Yes.
that's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Do you know if are they all do you know if they're under like family members or if these are gonna be, any of the affordable accessory?
I do not believe these are affordable ones. They're just kind of part of existing.
Just
Yeah,
wondering.
I know.
Okay.
That would have been
Nice.
exciting.
Hey, I mean, I think even apartments though, right now is better than getting something else here. I think it's good that, you can move a family member into or other things, I think is a good thing, so either way,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
good to see that they're actually using the bylaw.
Nice. I will be sure to share that. Otherwise, I think at the last meeting, you guys were gonna start working on the annual report, so that is due at the
That's
end of the
me.
month.
Yeah,
I just kind of wanted
I
to
know.
check in on that.
I've started it.
Okay. Is there anything I can do to help you?
No, I just need to I don't know, it just takes me a while, and then over the holidays, I have really good intentions to do it, and
Okay.
then it just gets
It's
so
busy over the holidays. Even if you give me even if it's just mostly bullets or all the points that you want included into it, I can turn it into a report if you'd like.
Have you read the last few?
I have. I would need to go back and glance at them, but I can. So let me know. The offer's there, Courtney.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I swear I'm gonna get it
okay.
done. I always
It's
make it
due by the
happen somehow.
26th, so if you could have it in a little bit before that, that would be fantastic.
I could always use help editing because I am, not a great grammar, person or speller. So I can usually get most of the way there, but if anybody, when I send it out to say, hey, please proofread, I would very much appreciate it.
Happy to give it a proof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay.
Definitely.
The only other thing I wanted to offer was kind of organizationally, if you guys wanted me to put out a shared drive to keep all our documents, I could.
We've talked about it quite a
yeah,
bit, and I do think it'd be really helpful.
Mhm.
And I believe we were gonna do this one other time, I don't remember why we didn't.
I think so.
But yes, that would be great.
Okay, I will put that out there.
Definitely.
The other thing, and I know this is not on the agenda, but what would be great is a little bit of website updating
Mhm.
on our page. Like none
We
of
have a
our
page.
Mhm.
previous minutes are up
Yeah.
from a long time. And I think even our annual report every year is supposed to be up there. So I don't know if you could just take a peek at what's there, and then maybe for next time we can talk about what is outdated and or needs to be updated.
Since I've started, I've been making sure that the minutes are
On there?
up to date and on there, so
Thank you.
that is
That's wonderful.
updated from at
Yes.
least September going
That's great.
Yeah.
forward.
That's
I
great.
do
Mhm.
have available, like was given the minutes from earlier.
Yep.
I just don't know how much of a process it would be to get
Okay.
those all.
I don't either, and I think
Uploaded.
that's why, like, maybe even just a little bit, if you could even just look into, like, and let us know next time, like, it's gonna take me, like, X amount of time and I don't have that, or it's gonna take me this much time and I can do it, like, even that would be.
Mhm.
It's something that I delegate out, like I delegate
Oh,
out to
okay.
someone to do, so,
Yeah.
they're more part-time than I am.
Yeah.
So having them go through a backlog like that might,
Be a lot.
yes.
Why don't we do this? Could you at least just take a look at the page and see like what important documents, like I think like the annual report from last year, is it posted? Like maybe the bigger items and just, so maybe it's not all the minutes that from Beckett, but it's like the really major things, like
Okay.
is our HPP up there, our latest one? You know, like that, like a couple of those things would be really good.
Okay, let me,
Anyway,
I will look at that and
That's
maybe
fine,
we
not a
can
bad
add that
idea.
as an agenda item for next time. So when I put
Yeah,
the
that would be
shared
great.
document up there,
Mhm.
I'm gonna include a document that'll have like agenda topics for the next meeting. It would be so awesome if you guys could go in and like add the things that you'd like to talk about, and then I typically need to post it I'll post it like a week in advance of the meeting.
You're so.
She's so good.
I do the best I can
Yes.
to like carry forward from other
Yeah.
meetings, and I know you guys are busy with your day jobs, but like, I wanna help you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah, all right.
Can you
That-
can you post a link? Are you able to post a link to our Coppersmith, thing? Like on our webpage?
I have asked,
Yeah.
I expect it to be up there shortly, yes.
Do you have
Lovely.
do you have the digital link?
You probably do it right to the
You
Realtors
don't need to
website too,
scan.
right?
You don't need, you just scan something.
Well, I
You can find
have
the
the
digital.
PDF that you had forwarded me by
That's
email. It was
perfect
the
then.
same one that I had
Okay.
attached to the agenda.
Okay.
So that's what I asked to be posted on the
I
website.
think that's great.
Yeah, so that'll be up there hopefully soon, and I will share it with you guys as soon as it's up.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Natalie, do you want me to move on to the
Mhm.
minutes? Okay.
Sorry, please. I derailed us on internet
Yeah, that
things.
was good. Getting stuff done.
Yes.
So these are December 7th. December 7th,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Good to me.
Looks fine, it's fine. Fine to me. Courtney?
Yes.
Okay, motion.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from December 7th, 2023.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Jack Moran, aye.
Okay,
Courtney Reilly, aye.
there we go. Okay.
Um,
Now, January 4th.
Can I
Yes. Uh-huh.
add something? After reading the minutes, I just remembered something that I
Okay.
was curious about. Did we find out who was driving CPA of that?
So we
community
talked
group?
about it in our last meeting and Chaz was supposed to check
Yeah.
into that.
Did we get, like,
I haven't heard anything.
someone in the community, the rumor was, I don't
There's
need to
a
call it a
board or
rumor, but there was a
something.
group of citizens that were apparently,
Mhm.
does anybody know if we have like sort of
I think it's Chaz.
a captain of the ship, so to speak?
Yeah.
Sounds like Chaz was gonna look
Yeah,
into
that's
that.
what
a
I
little
Right, I
bit.
guess we're just waiting
Yeah,
to-
yeah. Yeah, Jeff is going into that. Okay. All right.
Sorry, Natalie.
No, go ahead. January 4th.
Yes, here are the January 4th minutes.
Oh, big meeting.
I just have one,
Okay.
under 2.1.
Mhm.
Kind of far down in there, Allison, it, says status is requested on Warren Road. I think it's Warren, WARR.
I will make that change.
EN. I think it's WARREN.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's a hard one when we don't know exactly what the name is.
And feel like if you agree with things other than like
Yeah, yeah, stuff like
typos
that.
that I have,
Yep.
please feel free to just accept them with the
Yep.
modifications we discussed.
Mhm.
Okay.
Actually, is there any concern with us approving the joint
Well,
minutes?
I think we'd have to prove it and they
Mhm.
probably have to approve it, right?
Yeah.
So we're, okay,
I basically give them, I mean, they are the same minutes. It just winds up being
Okay.
on the trust letterhead.
Right.
Just like there were 2 agendas, there's 2
Mhm.
minutes, but it's the
Yeah.
same meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
I make motion that we accept the minutes from January 4th, 2024,
second.
All right.
with the one change of Warren Road.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Jack Moran, aye.
Courtney Briley,
All
aye.
right. Okay, and then that was all, that's passed. All righty, next meeting date is proposal for monthly schedule, second Thursday of each month at 6, right?
Yes,
Okay.
so that was my proposal. I will own up to that.
That's fine.
Honestly, it would make it so
Yeah.
much easier for me in planning, especially where I'm doing the trust, this
I
and
tried
joint
this last
meetings.
year and everybody shot me down on a standard schedule,
Yeah.
but we can try, I'm all for it.
I'm all for
Yeah, and
it.
I mean, I want this to
Yeah.
be flexible,
Yeah,
so like
of
if we're at a meeting and we look at the next month and we
Right.
say,
I can't make it.
you know, I
Yeah.
can't make it,
Yeah.
we'll adjust
That's fine.
the date.
I agree. Yeah,
Are you guys open to it?
yeah. Oh,
Second
yeah.
Thursday at 6 sounds
That's
good to
fine.
me in general, beginning February.
February
what's that?
8th.
February 8th will be
Yeah.
the next one.
Sounds good to me.
I'm getting a crown that day, so I might come in like all lopsided, but otherwise I'm
See, we
good.
can adjust that one.
It's okay.
Yeah, do you want to?
I should be
next week?
okay. It'll be in the afternoon.
All right.
Good ice cream.
Make sure we plan for some major decisions. to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I just look like I'm having a stroke over here.
No.
So I'm actually fine. It'll be okay.
We need to vote on that, or just, let's just go with? what
No, we don't
have
need to
right
vote on
now?
the date. We'll just put it in there.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good to me. more discussion?
Oh,
Okay.
never took out.
Okay, I need to.
I make a motion to adjourn at 6:40.
Second,
Okay, all's in favor, roll call.
Jack Moran, aye.
Courtney Malley, aye.
Now, aye. All right.